Hello, sweet confidence, beware your ignorance, and just like Icarus, you're falling on flying wings and soaring lead. I wish that I was fast asleep, but these tempest dreams, they're calling. Did you think I would panic? Did you think I would break? Did you think that I would lay down and die from the weight of the chains, heavy and lame? Did you think I would panic? Did you think I would break? 'Cause I'm about to rise from the ashes and fly through the flames, and you'll remember my name. You'll remember my name. Hello, sweet tragedy, you've long been there for me. At long and last I leave my troubles, and on this road I steel my nerves for what's to come. No hell or peace that's left unhumbled. Did you think I would panic? Did you think I would break? Did you think that I would lay down and die from the weight of the chains, heavy and lame? Did you think I would panic? Did you think I would break? 'Cause I'm about to rise from the ashes and fly through the flames, and you'll remember my name. You'll remember my name. Did you think I would panic? Did you think I would break? Did you think that I would lay down and die from the weight of the chains, heavy and lame? Did you think I would panic? Did you think I would break? 'Cause I'm about to rise from the ashes and fly through the flames, and you'll remember my name. You'll remember my name.
And we're live, aren't we? They can hear us.
They can hear us.
They can hear us.
They can hear us. We are live.
Coming at you live.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to Van Philosophy. We've got an interesting topic, the Satanic Panic today, which is a whole thing. We're excited. We're excited to be talking about that. But first off, we want to remind everybody that we have a show coming up in Atlanta at the Oyster Festival. What's the date on that?
February 26th.
February 26th.
6th.
Also, the song you just heard in the intro, if you're not aware, was the song Panic, which you can find on iTunes, Roshambeaux.com,
Spotify.
YouTube.
Right here on YouTube even.
Right here on YouTube. But before we get into the topic, Kyle, what have you been up to, man?
So I've been getting into some tracking this week, and I'm not ready to tell everybody about it, but I'll tell you about it later.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited about it. And then also, we were talking about, obviously we shoot a music video every month. We were talking about adding another one. So I've been kind of storyboarding some stuff that I need to kind of bounce off of you later as well.
It's going to be trash.
But no, I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of the ideas that we talked about.
Right.
But
you just basically heard me talk and you wrote it down when you went
yeah,
home.
like trying to get it, line for line so that it flows and stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. What have you been up to?
I just finished the Patreon video. If you guys have seen that, if you guys are on Patreon and are watching, Steve, Nancy, I know you're here. I hope you've seen it. We just released that today, so I got that wrapped up.
Some new stuff going on. Some new tricks and things.
New things.
It's cool.
Going on with
I
the
liked
video.
it.
I thought it was pretty neat.
Yeah.
I was pretty proud of the little middle
Yeah,
section.
the little thing in there.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. Well, trying to capture that honestly was like the hardest thing. Trying to figure out how to get the footage and.
Yeah, I know.
get
It was.
to
We had
overlay.
hiccups because we wanted to do stuff like that before.
Yeah.
But this was the month you figured it out.
Figured it out.
That's pretty cool.
Did it. I did that. I did go to a Korean market a few days ago, a couple days ago. Yesterday? No, it wasn't yesterday. But it was a few days ago. And that was really cool. I don't know if you guys ever been to an H Mart. They're pretty cool. They've got all kinds of different like Asian foods and Korean foods, and they have like a food court, which most of the food court was closed down because it was Sunday. Now I remember what day it was. It was Sunday, so most of the food court was shut down. We didn't end up eating there, but we did pick up a bunch of cool stuff. And speaking of Asian style foods, I have a food for Kyle to try.
What?
Yeah, look at this. So.
Oh wow, that looks delicious.
So it's I like to call it my my Satan ramen. Satan's ramen. And it's got some broccoli on the side and some onions.
Now is there hellfire in it?
It could be hellfire. Steve, H Mart's cool, isn't it? Ah man, and I forgot that they had those what are they called? The sriracha peas. And I bought like 3 huge cans of it.
That's so good.
How good is that, right?
I'm gonna try a little broccoli.
Yeah, a little broccoli. And try the little onion, man.
No onion. Ooh, that broccoli's perfect.
Yeah, and you put it all together and it's like this little magical mystery thing.
All right, well, can we take a break for a while so I can just eat this?
Oh, you can eat it. But I'm really...
I gotta have another bite.
Yeah,
it's
no,
so good.
No, I was excited about it, how it turned out today. I was going to make it like super, super crazy spicy for you, but I decided not to go too crazy.
No, it's not too bad.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway.
Delicious, y'all.
Anyway, so that was a lot of fun. Finished the video. I'm going to take a few days. I've been working with my brother at the shop recently, this collectibles shop. And we've got an event tomorrow that we're hosting, and I've got to go actually after this and go help set up and clean up. So doing that. And I did get all my monitor stuff in today, which was cool.
Yeah. So we had our monitors geek out.
Yeah.
They were able to be reset. They didn't geek out and stay out. But that was, it's kind of traumatizing. Well, in the middle of a show and you're like, I don't hear anything.
You're in the middle of the show and then like my monitor just stopped working. I have no idea why. And the only fix for it is to have them mute out their board so we could reset our mixer. So turn it off, turn it back on again. And it worked. And then, but I don't want that to be happening. Like, hey, pause the show, everybody. Wait a second, I've got to reset my monitors. Mm-hmm. So, got a box. Ended up consolidating the wires into a snake because now there's like 4 XLRs and 2 stereo insert cables running in there. So it's like a bunch of wires. I didn't want to be all crazy, but I did.
It looks good.
I got all that.
I don't know if they can see it.
They can't see it. You can see it right there.
You can kind of see it.
Yeah.
It's in the background.
It's just it's a fat wire. It's not that cool. But anyway, let's get into the topic. So the Satanic Panic, the history. I don't know if you guys remember this. Again, if you have any comments or questions, be sure to leave it in the chat. So the Satanic Panic, when it started, it's like the late 80s, early 90s?
Yeah, like the modern phenomenon of the Satanic Panic.
Right.
Yeah, it was like early 80s, and it went well into the 90s.
Yeah, there was a lot of aftermath of it too, stuff we're still seeing today. But I think what they did is they went back and analyzed it, and I think they correlated it to one instance, which was a book called Michelle Remembers, which was released in 1980. It was basically a story. It was portrayed as a true tale, where this therapist and the lady he kind of hypnotized and extracted memories from to write the book. He had a bunch of tapes of her, where the stories that you would hear, kind of reflected in the after people like heard about it. You know what I mean? Like what's it called? Like regurgitated later on, like the same kind of stories where she was abused during satanic rituals, and remembered all of these things that went on, where she remembers people being killed and all this kind of crazy stuff that you did end up hearing, like I said, regurgitated later on, where you'd hear about like mass like daycares, people like complaining about daycares having rituals with their children and like abusing them in weird ways, and
wasn't there a thing? It was like on a version of Circle of Death. Because like they made a couple movies, but there was one where it was this cult, and they were like eating.
You're talking about Faces of Death?
Yeah, Faces of Death, and they were like eating this dude's liver or something.
Don't ever watch that, guys. That's an awful series of things.
It'll creep you out because it's presented as it's all real.
Yeah.
And I think some of it is. That one I was kind of like, how did they film this?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like, I don't know if that's real.
I don't know the one you're talking about, but I remember watching those as a kid.
There's a few of them.
They were real, and it was awful. You'd see people do all kinds of awful things, like actual people dying on.
Yeah, it was like a documentary about death.
Yeah.
And I don't know what year it was.
Yeah. What's up, Rachel? Thanks for joining us for a minute. But yeah, there's like a whole series of those. But what about it?
Well, I remember in one of them, because I think there's a few films, but one of them was like this satanic cult, and they like sacrificed this person, and they were going to like eat him.
Sure.
And they showed a good bit of it, and I remember my friend telling me like, all that stuff's real. It's all like documents of like this guy that fell off of a ladder and died or whatever it was. It went into like different types of death.
Yeah.
But that one, I remember watching it and be like, this can't be real. This has got to be fake. Like,
yeah, I never saw that.
Who got a camera in that room?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was about that same time when that one came out. It was probably the 80s. It looked like it was from the 80s at least.
Right. Well, and I don't even know like if actual Satanists have sacrifice rituals and those kinds of things anyway.
Well,
I know the Aztecs did. There's
a weird gray area of all this, because the word Satan comes from Hebrew, and it Hasatan, and it means the enemy.
Right.
And that's all it means.
Yeah.
And throughout history, people have developed their own philosophies and religions, and they say, well, that comes from the enemy. But Satan in Hebrew just means the enemy. It's just whoever you're fighting at the time. So Satanism now like inherently has to kind of piggyback off of Christianity, because it comes from that specific area and that specific time period. It's that word, made by these people. So like Satanism now, the Church of Satan, was founded I think in 1966.
Yeah.
And it was basically just...
What was that dude's name?
I can't remember the guy's name that started it, but it was basically like calling out the Christian faith, saying that they're not moral, and kind of picking at their Bible and saying like, it seems like Satan is the most moral person in this book.
Right.
And so they developed their own philosophy about it, where it's like, the snake was actually looking out for Adam and Eve and saying like, you're not going to die, you're just going to know more. And this guy's a jerk and he doesn't want you to know anything.
Right.
So the people in the Church of Satan don't believe that any of that's true.
Yeah.
But they develop their kind of anthropological morality from it, where they go, well, we're human beings and we all live better if we get along, so that's our morality.
Yeah.
And, they focus more on like the individual and the material world and things you can see.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't have anything to do with the Hebrew word Satan or the Christian or
right. It's just a description
or
saying
anything
like
that.
the enemy.
Yeah, they're just like, we found this story and we thought it was cool, so we made a church about it.
Yeah. Aaron says it's Anton LaVey.
That's right, name. Anton LaVey. Mm-hmm.
That dude. Yeah. If you look at some like videos of that dude, I like his little hat.
Yeah.
He's got a cute little hat.
I saw a video of, there was this guy from the Church of Satan, and they were having a town hall meeting, and in that town they would have someone lead a prayer, and it was always like, this pastor and that priest. There's all denominations of Christianity. So this guy from the Church of Satan, he's like, hey, he's like, I want to come and pray.
Yeah.
And you know, they're like, we have to let you, so there wasn't any discrimination. But there's all these people like in the background, like yelling and screaming and be like, shut his mic off. He's going to put a curse on all of us. But the weird thing about it is the prayer was like really beautiful.
Right.
And he was like, I really hope that we can all find some wisdom and clarity together and realize that we all need to be kind to each other.
Yeah.
And I know we have problems in our town right now, but we're all here together. And it was just like the really beautiful thing.
JT says here also that Satan also means accuser.
I think that's cool. I think I've heard that before. Yeah,
I've heard that. So like during the Satanic Panic, like let's talk about like some of the stuff that was going on during that time. From what I recall, I was a little young during the beginning of it, being born in *85. So, but from everything that I've heard and some of the things I've seen afterwards, there would be like huge groups of people having like these what are they called? Seminars. Seminars. So they would host religious groups or Christian groups or religious groups would host these seminars, like explaining to people what is Satanism, what does Satan do, and and that's where you get all these weird descriptions of like, look at these magic cards and see this has the upside down pentagram and that means it's calling to say, and they would make up all these things and like tell them that it was doing these things to their kids, and they would say Dungeons and Dragons leads people to the devil. They get to where their heads are all like hypnotized and believe that they're these beings and have mystical powers, and like they really blew it out. You can actually YouTube some of this stuff where you like look up seminars about from the Satanic Panic. And it's bizarre.
You're out chilling out at youth group, and they're like, "Our friend Steve's gonna come up and show you some stuff."
Right.
This guy comes in.
Yeah, and they would host these seminars like across the country, like it was over and over, and it built up this mass just confusion, and this mass like, what's the word? I think I actually wrote down the word suspicion. So everybody was suspicious of one another and thinking that Satan was somehow integrating himself, like they saw him as a being that would integrate. These people would actually believe that there was this entity thing that was integrating into society and trying to get your children and trying to take them and pull them in and like possess them or some crazy shit, which in the fact of it is like Satanism, they don't even believe in Satan, nor do they worship Satan.
Yeah.
And then you have Christian groups like this where they're saying Satan is a real person, and they're actually trying to justify that Satan is real.
Well, I know the thing is, when I looked it up, there's a definition of Satanism is that one who worships Satan. But in the real world, when you look at someone from the Church of Satan, like you were saying, is they don't believe in Satan.
Yeah.
They've taken lessons from books that they found and formed their own philosophy, but it has nothing to do with like Luciferian Satan,
Yeah.
And coming from Christianity and someone out of it, what I noticed is that there's this duality in Christianity where everything that exists, it has to either come from God, or if it doesn't, it comes from Satan, and there's nothing in between. So something that is not
I think that also, just to be clear to everyone, that also is only a reflection of what Kyle experienced. I know that all experienced.
Yes. I'm not. Yeah, I definitely. I don't want to belittle anyone's faith. I don't want to cause any problem. We're gonna get like emails or something.
No. Well, I mean, it's a positive thing. Religion has helped so many people keep a grasp on this crazy existence.
With my experience and what I was told, is that if it doesn't come from God, you know where it comes from. So there was this idea that if something is not dogmatically Christian and it does not align exactly with what these people were viewing as Christianity,
right,
then it comes from the devil. So the devil can really be anything, but again, with that meaning of like Satan means your enemy, it just means that like everyone's your enemy unless they're just like you. And that was kind of what I experienced, and I just didn't like that idea, and it didn't seem like Christ would say. It didn't seem like it followed what Christ would say. It was this something else.
Right. Well, like, and with all that though, like, and that's what's kind of crazy is like, because during this time, they were like attacking and like belittling different things. Like they would do, they would talk about like games, board games, tabletop games. They were talking about video games and music. Mm-hmm. There's a big thing about records and stuff like that. Played backwards would be like demonic messages. And if you watch this stuff, man, where they're like playing it backwards and they'll have something, they're like,
you hear what it says?
You hear what it says? And it's like you can't really hear anything. You might kind of hear like Satan, like, or something, or like, Barrier People.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
someone's talking backwards.
He's talking about the devil. Yeah. So,
well, like what?
It's insane, like how it impacted so many different avenues. Like where it was like basically, if it's not this, which would be like just the Bible and your church group, mm-hmm. They tried to paint everything else, like everything, every type of entertainment as mm-hmm. Satan trying to get into your life and spoil your children.
Yeah, because it creates us and them. When the Romans adopted Christianity, they kind of did the same thing. That's kind of when those little rumors started of there's these people out in the woods and they're sacrificing people, right. And they're doing all this stuff. And at the time, there may have been people doing that. Yeah. But it was kind of this idea of you need to stay here because it's safe. Because anyone that is not aligned with us is either like that or they're getting led to that.
Right.
So, I had it explained to me that it was like, you can play Dungeons and Dragons and there's nothing wrong with that. But you know what that's going to lead to? Child sacrifice.
Right,
you know
child sacrifice.
And people were like very serious. Like we laugh about it, but people were very, very serious about it.
They were very serious. Yeah. I mean, I remember even whenever I was younger, like having people tell me, don't play Dungeons and Dragons because it brings the devil in the house. Mm. I remember having my stepmother tell me I couldn't watch The Simpsons. Mm-hmm. Because The Simpsons would bring the devil in the house.
That's what would tell me Captain Planet was satanic.
Right, because they were joining all these.
Well, it's because
Earth, Wind, Fire, Water.
It was Gaia, so it was a pagan goddess that gave them all their abilities.
Yeah,
and that does not align with dogmatic Christianity.
Right.
So it's the enemy.
Yeah, I mean, even like I remember when me and my brother and our friends first got interested in magic cards, like Magic the Gathering. My mom was like, "Okay, hold on." And she actually handled that pretty well. She was like, hold on, let me do some research. And she did some research and found out it was just a bunch of idiots saying it was this when it was actually just a card game.
Well, I remember my mom told me, she's like, I saw on the news that these kids were playing this game called Dungeons and Dragons, and one of them killed the other kid because he was delusional.
Right.
Like the game was so good, it made him delusional. So I remember my parents, my parents weren't like this.
Right.
Like I was around people like this, but my parents were always like, those people are crazy.
Those people are crazy. Yeah. My mom gave into some of it growing up. Like she gave into some of it, but then...
Yeah, I can see like a lot of the adults, and yeah, my parents included, at least probably for a small time at least, gave into the panic for sure.
Right.
Especially when there's like all these crazy horror stories of like, no, there's actually people and they're eating children and they're doing all this stuff, and it all starts with Magic the Gathering.
Right.
You're
right. You're right, Nancy. Everything was like a gateway back then. It was like somehow, no matter what it was, it could be like a type of food you're eating. They'd be like, no, that's going to bring you to Satan. It was bizarre.
I think the reason why everything's a gateway in a community like that, or let's just say like in a cult, basically, is that if you go and start asking questions and actually find out what the truth is, it's dangerous, because people are going to come back and be like, no, that's not that. That's not what you said.
Right.
So they say like, don't even look over the edge because you're going to fall over the edge if you even look.
Right.
And yeah, that, like I said, I don't want to say this about all Christians. I
No,
know like there's good people
no.
and there's bad people everywhere.
No, I think
Yeah.
religion is a great thing for
Yeah.
humans. It helps us like get a grip on this bizarre existence. I think no matter what it is or who you believe in or what you do, it's probably a beautiful thing at the root of it. But anything, just like food, which is a necessity for living, can be turned into something awful. You know, so like McDonald's.
Well, there was one thing. The one thing that I saw is, you know, if you look at things objectively, you'd be like, okay, like wizards are going to lead you to the devil.
Wizards,
you know, because that's in
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons, it's in Harry Potter, and it's in
Right.
all those things. You know, it's like, okay, so like wizards are an agent of the devil, and
Sorcery.
and you know, like magic items, magic rings, you
Sure.
know, stuff like that. But when you look at it, like, you know, so Harry Potter's the devil, Dungeons and Dragons the devil, but most of those people were okay with Lion Witch in the Wardrobe.
Right, yeah.
And most, you know, like there's a witch, there's a talking lion.
Yeah, the freaking talking lion.
There's a man that's half goat that
Yeah.
looks like Satan. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, and Lord of the Rings is okay.
Right.
You know, there's this evil creature that's putting a curse on everybody, and this one ring has to, you know, like it's all the same stuff.
Right.
But the difference is those books were written by Christian men.
Yeah.
So those are okay. So like when I was looking at it, I was like, something's wrong here, because you're just trying to keep people in your club.
Yeah.
Is what it seemed like.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it didn't really seem like there was anything that was inherently going to lead you down this dark path. It was just if it's not,
Well,
if
I
it
think-
doesn't go along
like
with what
C.S.
we said.
Lewis was a Christian writer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tolkien was too.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's
Is it
like
Tolkien or Tolkien?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Put it in the comments.
Let's see here. Let's get to some of these comments real quick. They're kind of coming in. What's up, Rico, by the way? Nice to see you here with us, man. Thank you for joining us again. See, Aaron says, my mom bought it hook, line, and sinker. You know, and there's a lot of people that did that. Like I said,
Yeah.
like even my mom for a while did that. Like she just grabbed a hold of it, and then all this, you know, here and there she would find the truth, be like, wait, is this maybe better for my kids to be playing a card game than going out and just, you know, wreaking havoc on the world, like, you know,
Yeah.
which we wanted to do and we would have done, like breaking stuff, vandalizing. Rico says here, if you chase something hard enough, you're gonna find it, like it or not. Absolutely, that's total truth. Let's see here. Nancy says, what about Winnie the Pooh? Supposed to be full of nefarious symbolism. You know, that's the thing, is like you see all this stuff that says it has so much symbolism in it, and I don't know if it's like that maybe it's not actually intentional that these things are put in there, but that our culture is nothing but symbolism.
Well,
People could look at our music and think that we're talking about the devil. You know what I mean? They could find little pieces and be like,
But you know-
see what he's saying here? They're holding hands. You know who likes to hold hands? The devil. You know?
Well, the thing is like that's kind of what the issue is, though. Is it's like none of our music is dogmatically modern Christianity.
Right.
You know what I mean? I like to think like I like the stuff that Jesus said. You know what I mean? And you know, I'll try to live that way. You know what I mean? But like at the same time, like if we're not following a strict set of like this is what it's supposed to be, then like the music we make to them is the enemy.
Right.
It's Satan. You know?
Rico says here he thinks it's token. Okay. And I like his little witchy poo. I like that. Oh man. So what are your personal experiences? I mean, we talked about a little bit some.
I had one that like it wasn't that long ago. A buddy of mine invited me to his church, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll go." Yeah.
And real quick, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But if you guys have experiences as well, make sure you leave them there in the comments so we can check them out.
And he was like, "The music's really good. You should come." He like knew I was a musician. He's like, "Music's really good. You should come hang out." And I was like, "Absolutely, I'll come hang out." And I remember I went there, and I was wearing a shirt like this, but it had a Jimi Hendrix shirt underneath it.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, whatever, you know. And I remember the pastor like looked at me and like stopped the sermon and was like, Jimi Hendrix was demon possessed. You can see it in his videos. He is under, you know, the devil's influence, and like and like stopped and like looked at like, because I was wearing the shirt, and I was like, oh wow.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, yep. And I was like, okay, sorry, I was just coming to hang out, you know.
Yeah.
Like it was like that was super weird.
Jimi Hendrix was the devil.
He wasn't the devil, but he was possessed
He was
possessed by the devil or
an entity,
or a demon.
You
know, like Satan's little helper,
right?
You know, or something.
Right. He had to have gone to the crossroads for sure.
Yeah, but he was very much like he's like, I've watched the videos and I can see the devil around him. Like he had like some supernatural ability to see those things.
Okay. That's great.
Yeah, and I was kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
You know.
Did you experience like some like stuff whenever you were kids? I know you're a little bit younger than I am. I don't know like if any of it really was brought up too much. You might have just gotten the aftermath.
Yeah, like I wasn't. I didn't play D&D as a kid. And I remember when like the Harry Potter books came out. I remember everyone was like talking about how like, oh, it's the devil, you know.
Right.
It's like how they talk about Dungeons and Dragons or magic or any of that stuff. They talked about that the same way. And I wasn't ever really into it, so I wasn't like, no, it's not, you know.
You didn't like Harry Potter?
I mean, I liked it,
good.
but I wasn't like,
I didn't.
I have to have all the stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I wasn't
I
like
didn't
that.
have to have the action figures and stuff and like
The action figures.
So like,
Okay.
I don't know if my parents would have been like, no, that's the devil.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, no, yeah. Like I don't think I got into it that much. I like the movies. I didn't read the books though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember like when the Da Vinci Code, when that book came out, like that was like,
This is all like early 2000s, isn't it?
yeah, like so I would have been like a young teenager.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
But I remember a lot of people talking about that.
And that's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
It goes
it's
on.
like it goes on.
The aftermath of it continues. Yeah.
Well, to me, I tend to think that like it's something that's always been there.
Right.
Just because, you know, don't you want people to see it your way?
Right.
You're like, wouldn't it be cool if you could get everyone to see it your way, and all you got to do is scare them a little bit, you know?
Sure.
And I know you don't want to do that.
I don't want
to
to
do that.
Yeah.
But you can see the temptation of it, you
Sure.
know? And like I said, my personal experience, what irked me with it is when I read the Bible, I'd read stuff where, you know, Christ would say like, love your enemies, pray for people that persecute you, you know?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, it doesn't seem like, if you really think that that's your enemy, it doesn't seem like you're loving your enemy. It seems like you're making it go away, you know? And I just don't think that, like I said, with my experience with modern Christianity, I was like, this just doesn't seem Christ-like. I don't really want to do this,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So those were like kind of my experiences with it.
Yeah. I know, like
Yeah.
I said, I had where I was told that Dungeons and Dragons was the devil, and or would bring the devil into you. And my stepmom was insanely insane at that point in time. I hope she's gotten better. I don't know. I haven't seen her in many, many years. But during that point in time, yeah, she was like, "You can't watch The Simpsons. Brings the devil in the house." My mother, whenever I first started getting to Magic the Gathering, told me the same, but she said, but wait a second, let me look into it real quick before I do, because we were actually buying our cards from a local Christian bookstore.
So those ones were okay.
Right, those ones were good.
They got the okay.
Yeah, but it was like Keystone Bookstore, and we went there as kids, and he would always keep the cards in, and he's basically like a second father figure for me and my brother. We'd always go in, he'd have the stuff, we'd sit and chat, and even like up until like our later teens, whenever he ended up taking his shop and moving, he sold his shop and moved down to Florida. He actually invited all of us kids over, and we hung out with them and shot the shit for a little while. His last day here, like we were like that tight, you know. But I do remember messing with my mother a lot.
No.
So I would do like really dumb stuff, because she'd always say, "Oh, that's Satanist," blah blah blah. Because like I was big into Marilyn Manson, Nine Inch Nails, all that kind of like the.
My mom did not like Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
I remember that.
All
She was
that kind
"I
of
do
like
not
shock,
like him."
the
Yeah.
shock rock stuff. I was really into that stuff. I still pull it up every now and then. So I would buy like everything I could get my hands on. Like crazy Marilyn Manson T-shirts with like some weird demonic depiction on it. I remember having this shirt. This is a funny story. I had this shirt that said "I heart" and it had a heart and it said Satan, right? And I thought it was hilarious because like I didn't love Satan. I thought it was funny.
But you should. It's the Christian thing to do, to love your enemy.
Right,
You
sure.
know?
Sure. But I remember my mom saw it, and then I put it in the dirty clothes, and this is whenever I finally started just doing my own laundry. She took it and like didn't like take the T-shirt, because a lot of my Marilyn Manson T-shirts she actually took and hid them or threw them away. She got the I Heart Satan shirt and marked out on the heart like, "Don't love Satan." And so then I wore it.
Yeah.
I kept wearing it because I thought that was even more funny.
Even better.
I was like, that's even more funny. Like, I don't love Satan. That was hilarious.
Well, like that's the thing. That's where the Church of Satan comes from.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's going like, why is this a thing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is, you thinking this way isn't making you love your neighbor better.
A lot of that, that weird doctrine, so it creates more division.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get to some of the comments here. Let's see here. Anybody remember the comic book character Hot Stuff? Rico, Bobby, I have no idea who Hot Stuff.
Tell us more about that.
Please tell us about Hot Stuff. Maybe we need to look it up while we're getting through these. You want to look it up real quick so we can see a picture?
It's called Hot Stuff?
Hot Stuff. Steve wants to know as well there, Rico. Let's see here. I was raised in a hardcore Southern Baptist churches. We were given lessons on how to cast out the demons of people because of the Satanic Panic. So you were taught how to cast out demons. Like this was a real thing. That seems so bizarre.
There is, well, actually, I do know a little bit about that. The church I went to, like I said, I don't really look back on this and go, this was such a horrible experience. I just go like, I just don't know if this is for me. But there are a few stories in the New Testament of people casting out demons.
Yeah.
And
I cast you out.
The issue with it is
that
the word for demon, a lot of times people will say like, it might mean sickness. It might mean a magical supernatural demon. But it also might mean like a anxiety that you have, like your personal demons. You know what I mean? Like, but there's a specific way to do it. You need to say who you are and that you know who they are and that, you're not allowed to be here anymore. And there's this very specific way and who sent you, because if you don't, have the power of God behind you, then the demon can get you.
Right, sure.
But the demon has to listen to God.
That sounds
the demon doesn't have to listen to you.
That sounds a lot like paganism to me.
Yeah, so but there's a very and then there's even a story I know of someone that did it wrong, and then the demon killed him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if you're going like this is the truth, this actually happened, this continues to happen, you can definitely see people panicking about it. Because it'd be like, if you don't, step on the right stone, Indiana Jones, something really bad's gonna happen.
Rico also says, have you seen the prices of the 9 Inch Nails 2022 tickets? I haven't, but I saw that they announced that they were on tour, and I was kind of excited. They're playing, I think they're playing some festival in Atlanta on their run. I know they're doing a thing in Raleigh, like a full thing that's just them. Is it bad? Is it crazy expensive? What's going on?
Not very Christian of you guys.
Let's see here.
Okay, so this is the thing. So the comic book, it's like this little baby devil.
It's a bevel.
The Little Devil and Friends.
It's kind of cute.
It's so adorable.
Can you pull up a picture full frame and show the camera?
I'll see if I can.
Let's click on one. It's adorable. Little demon. Look at him. No baby demon. Before Grogu, there was Hot Stuff. Lisa, thanks for joining us here. Got a newbie here. Don't click on the link. They posted. It may be tainted. Oh, you know that's I've tried to like actually put in the banned words because there's some weird stuff that comes in from those kind of people, and I'm gonna have to add that to our banned list. Much to the consternation. I'm not familiar with that word.
Of his demonic brethren, hot stuff performs good deeds to irritate them. Oh, okay.
Nice.
So he's like the menace.
Yeah.
But he's doing good things.
Doing good things, yeah. Let's see here. Rico also says that ticks are crazy. May try the Raleigh show. Cheapest I've found are over $100 for a ticket.
Somewhere Kurt Cobain is screaming.
He's screaming. Screaming. Okay. Lisa says, "What about the Ouija boards?"
So there is.
Those things are still terrifying to me.
There is a story that I remember is that there was a king in ancient Israel, and he wanted advice, and the law was when you needed advice, you would go to either someone who was a prophet or a priest or a respected righteous person in the community, and you were not allowed to go to fortune tellers or soothsayers or like anyone that was like not sanctioned by the government at the time. So the king went to the priests and the prophets or whatever, and he didn't like the answers he was getting, so he said he was going to go to the soothsayer who summoned up the soul of a dead prophet from beyond the grave, and the prophet came forth in his hazy glow or whatever, and came out and said, "You're not supposed to be doing this, let me go back to sleep." And so in Christianity, there's this idea of like, you don't summon the dead because you can, because this person did, and it opens up
saying
this
like
crazy...
you can do this, yeah, so that's why you should.
So the reason why that everyone's like, the Ouija board creeps me out is because a lot of people believe that is a very real thing that you can do, and you can do it with a Parker Brothers game board.
Right.
Like, it's not hard to do.
Yeah.
And it is something that's possible.
Well, I'm not here to say that you can or you can't. I do think and believe personally that we don't know how our spirits move on, how things like that happen. We don't know. We don't have definitive answers. We can't. I do know that there is it's not like I guess it's kind of subconscious energy. Whenever you're with a group of people and you're doing it, let's say no one's moving the piece to the thing, but maybe collaboratively you're thinking, and somehow subconsciously you are moving without actually moving it. Like, we can kind of tap into things like we talked about last week with songwriting, when we talk about the muse, and there's these things that we don't quite understand. Yeah. That do exist out there, and we've had interaction with. Who's to say that we haven't interacted with things like that? It's like on Aftermath, when you hear on Get It Up solo, you hear that weird whispering in the track because it was on Nanny's guitar. What is that? I don't know. Yeah. Was it just noise and we made it up because like we wanted to hear that? Was it when we were moving the God, what's the thing called?
The Ouija board.
No, the actual piece.
Oh, the Eye of Sauron.
No, it's a simple name. But I used to have one. I used to have a Hasbro. I thought they were cool.
Oh, it's Hasbro. It's not Parker Brothers.
Yeah. I had one. I still have one. I have one. I don't have one like the old one I had, but I have an actual more. Who cares if it's? I don't know if it's more anything. I think it's a smaller thing. I have it as a display. I haven't used it. I have it as a display. Let's see here. Lisa also says Alice Cooper, the Godfather of shock rock, was on the Muppet Show. Anything decent's on the Muppet Show. Yeah. If like you want to know like is this good or not, go see if it's on the Muppet Show, and that's how you're going to decide. Like, I don't even like Roshambeaux as a band because they haven't been on the Muppet Show.
You know what's funny though is like go back to when Alice Cooper first came out and the panic that ensued just because of him.
Oh sure.
And then you'd be like, he's on a kid show.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's actually a really nice dude from what I've seen in interviews
Yeah.
and things. I've never met the guy personally, obviously, but I've seen like interviews with him. He's very smart, very intelligent, super cool, super nice from what I've seen anyway. Planchette, that's what it's called. It's called the Planchette, the little movie piece.
Or is it Planchet?
Planchet. But I think that wraps up our talk about the Satanic Panic. It was strange. Strange times. Great oldies.
Strange times. Satanism.
But we would like to take a second here and remind everybody that we've got merch over there on storefrontier.com/Roshambeaux. All the sizes are not guaranteed, Kyle.
Lies.
So Kyle still hasn't made me a new one of these, but go check out our merch. Most of the sizes are actually back in stock in the colors. They do a great job over there. Go.
You just
check
got to click the link to
out.
find out what we're lying about.
Yeah. There's not even a website. It's just a virus.
It's just a virus.
But what's our final thoughts?
My final thoughts is I think it's really hard to condemn someone as your enemy if you try to love them first.
Yeah.
I think that
Kyle's going to win a Nobel Peace Prize just from that statement.
no. Well, I think that you have to decide who your enemy is. Someone can do something wrong to you. Someone can persecute you, or someone can say that they're going to put a curse on you, or whatever it is. But you decide whether or not they're Satan or not, whether they're your enemy or not.
Right.
And like I said, I'm picking on my experiences with Christianity just simply because the character Satan comes from Christianity.
Sure. Yeah.
So I would say, one thing I always wondered is that if you were going to love your enemy and try to understand them and treat them like you would treat, like how you want to be treated. I kind of always wondered that, why those people didn't have pity on Lucifer and why they didn't say like, well, let's hear him out.
When you read the stories,
yeah.
he was just trying to help everybody out.
Yeah.
You read the stories.
Yeah,
That's
like
funny.
reading the stories without having
Yeah.
anyone tell you what it is. If you just read it, you go like, oh, like it does seem like I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not biased.
It's hard
one
to
way
tell
or
who's
another.
lying. It's hard to tell who's lying.
Sure.
One of them is lying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's
Right.
kind of hard to tell.
Yeah.
But I do think that like you decide what the enemy is and you decide what to do about it. And I think if you're going to be Christ-like, you need to love everyone, especially people that aren't dogmatically following the things that you think are right.
Right. I think it's probably a little bit more complicated than that, but that's just existence in itself.
Yeah.
But I think that hopefully we learn from these kinds of things. I mean, you'd think, like, for instance, we would learn from the Salem witch trials and then not have the Satanic Panic. But maybe it's better to just have, like, claims that it was Satan than let's hang a bunch of people and kill them.
We've all done a little bit better.
We've done a little bit
We
better.
don't burn people anymore.
We don't burn them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good
Just their
thing.
t-shirts.
Just their shirts. Because imagine what it would have been like if during that time people were like actually like killing people. Because there was trials, man. People did go to jail for false accusations for where they were like convincing children that this is what happened, and they would come and testify under these false pretenses that like these people performed these rituals, and that's awful. It's awful that it happened. Can't believe it happened. Hopefully we learn from it. I still like Marilyn Manson. I don't much like him anymore.
He came on the other day, and I was like, oh yeah.
I like stuff. I don't like his newer stuff.
Oh well, there was there's some performance. It wasn't that long ago. He came back and did something, and it was like, it seemed like he was really trying.
You're really trying hard.
He was really trying.
But Nine Inch Nails, all the way, man.
Yeah.
Trent Reznor is.
He's so cool.
He's so good.
He's so cool.
He's so good, man. His like synthesizer work and stuff that he does is awesome. Let's get to some comments before we wrap it up. Greet the world with a kiss, says Nancy B.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
JT Villain.
He quoted it. I had that written down. What is it? It's Matthew 5:44. But I say to you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Sounds great. And you said that was from where?
That is Matthew 5:44.
540. See, you quoted it before. He had it on his notes.
I had it on my note. I had to look it up.
Look at that.
Yeah, he had it ready to go.
He had it ready to go. Thank you, man. Rico says, "Oh shit, I should pray more." Most people's last words. True.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. Having connection with that spiritual side of things, it's so important. It's so important. Anything, like I said before, no matter what it is, even something as basic as food, can be taken in a negative way and done negative things with. But let's be positive and do good things with good things and be good. Okay. Steve says, "Hell, Rico, I just need to pray."
Lisa says, I mean, you just don't want to fuck with that.
Yeah.
Who knows what could go wrong?
True. Who knows?
Who
knows? I don't know.
I totally, that's the thing is like, even with all this satanic panic, like, if there really was this crazy murder cult that, met behind the Piggly Wiggly and it was like taking kids, like, you would hope someone would say something and be like, hey, watch your kids, hide your wife, hide your kids.
Right,
There's all these insane clowns that worship Satan that are stealing kids. Like, absolutely, you want to look out for each other. And so I kind of understand the panic is like, if you think it's real.
Yeah.
Or you go, it might be real. I don't want to go look over the edge because I might slip.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a terrifying thing.
Even look at like what just recently happened. A lot of like not known information or a little bit, and we tried and we thought maybe it was hurting our kids or doing something. It was hurt, and we try to do all these crazy things because we just go into that like protective mode.
But I think what the problem is that when someone stands up and says, "Don't look at that," and someone says, "Yeah, there's all these people out murdering kids and doing all that stuff, so don't even look at it. Don't be a part of it," because it's like, no, you should go investigate that.
Right. Sure.
You should be like, if that's actually happening, like, let's all get the town together and get pitchforks and torches. You know what I mean?
But then that's going to cause even more problem.
Yeah.
They still says truth. The Muppets are amazing. Absolutely, they are. Kyle's been studying. He probably did for like 30 minutes before he came here, like right before he left the house. Nancy says, "Nine Inch Nails." Absolutely, they're so good. Yeah. Okay. So let's take a second and remind everyone that Patreon is a thing. So you guys are the reason we're able to continue to do this. You guys are the reason why I was able to fix those problems we were having on the road. You guys are the reason we make these videos every month, and hope that you guys enjoy them, which a brand new one just launched today.
Y'all, what Jay did with the video editing this time is really cool. Like, if you're on Patreon and you haven't checked it out, go check it out. And if you're not on Patreon, this is the month you should check it out.
It's cool. It's a perfect time, too, because like we're about to open back up requests. The new one just got released. We did just release one last week for the public, so if you're not on there and you want to see what kind of stuff it is, you can see a half a year old video that we released just last week. Because our patrons get a half of a year, about 6 months, exclusive access to these things. And just for as little as $1, we will shout you out. For $5, you actually get in the requests and you get the videos and all that cool stuff to you. The backstage stuff, we actually try to post what we're doing. Like, there's pictures of the stuff that I actually did today, working and getting the snake together and running the new monitor system. It's cool. I think it's cool. I know that it's stuff that I would be interested in, and we're always up for suggestions. So go over there and check out patreon.com/Roshambeaux and see if there's something in there for you, man. There might be. It might suck. I think it's cool.
Is it like one of those things where, like, you're like, it's an old-timey circus, and it's like, it's $5 to see the crazy man, and you go in there and be like, and it's just this guy, and you're like, oh, and they're like, no refunds.
No refunds. Sorry, crazy man. JT says, gotta go open magic cards. Hey, I'm gonna be there tomorrow. I'm actually leaving here after the vlog tonight to go help set up at the shop, so I'm excited. The new video is amazing. Thank you, Steve. Thank you so much. Rico says, free James Brown. See? Mm-hmm. You saw the video. We had a lot of fun making that. It was actually, so you can thank Steve B there in the comments. He was the one who requested it. Mm-hmm. We had a lot of good times doing that. But yeah, so that's going to do it for us. We appreciate everyone showing up here and being here with us in the chat, continuing to keep this thing going. We love hearing your input. We love having these conversations. I mean, why did we even start doing this, Kyle?
Well, you know, I tell you.
I'm going to tell you.
There was this one time we played a show and we're tired and he had like 4 hours to drive to the next town. And we sat in silence for like an hour. Just in silence. Because we just didn't have anything to say.
No, we're tired.
I mean? Like, we're tired and whatever. And you looked over at me and you're like, we gotta talk about something.
Dude.
So, and I remember, I think I literally was like, Roman Empire, like the SNL skit.
Yeah.
And you're like, look that up.
Yeah.
So we did. We went through like all the Caesars.
Yeah.
And we just kind of kept doing it. We're like, hey, let's talk about this. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of recreating it, and it's fun.
And fun fact, if you did not know, we actually did try to recreate that naturalness of Van Philosophy's origins last tour, where Steve B had a suggestion of a topic. We saw him at the show before, and then on our way to the next town that night, we actually recorded it live in the van.
Live in the van.
Live in the van. It's available over on Patreon. We loved how it turned out. We thought it was a very cool topic. It's very interesting. What was it? What's his name?
DB Cooper.
DB Cooper.
Yeah,
it was like a whole thing.
It was a great conversation.
It was pretty cool.
And I, more this year for sure because we got shows, dates on the books. So.
Yeah, so we're gonna try to record some more of those. But anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We love you guys. See you next Thursday.
Yeah.
Come on.
Let us know what you want to talk about. Put it in the comments.
Come on. Yeah, put it in the comments. Also, if you're in the Roshambeaux fam, go comment over there and let us know your suggestions. But until next time, we love you guys so much.